There's something incredible about setting sail on an adventure, exploring new lands, and uncovering amazing mysteries. The sense of awe and wonder that comes from discovering new artifacts, new species, new lore, new friends, and new enemies is very exciting. Problem with video games is that even if you have exploration and character progression down, a good story can be very challenging, particularly not retelling the same stories that have already been told. A lot of JRPGs cover the same ground over and over, with some sort of overarching evil that needs to be destroyed to save the kingdom, the princess needs to be rescued, etc., etc. You've been there. Lots of JRPGs like to kill God, I know. But this game, it just hits a little bit different. From the very beginning, there isn't some sort of obvious evil to be thwarted. Instead, there's a mystery that needs to be solved, and I really enjoyed that part of this game, how it was very different in that respect. The Isle of Seiren is certainly an interesting place to be shipwrecked on, but the red-haired swordsman Adol and his faithful friend Dogi, I think they're up to the task. Welcome back to the channel, everyone, and here's my review of Ys 8, The Lacrimosa of Dana on PlayStation 5. So right away, one of the things that stuck out the most to me about this title, which first released in 2016, was the environmental visuals and monster design. But it just takes a little bit of time to get there. In fact, just a little bit too much time. The initial design of the Lombardia, which is the ship that Adol and Dogi are working on in exchange for passage, really gives a false impression of the depth of the environment and what this game is trying to do. In fact, the opening few moments feel kind of slow. Your primary task as a crew member of the Lombardia is to provide security to an evening party, walking around and talking to the various crew members and passengers who you'll be going along on this adventure with. Now, how do we go from crew member to castaway on an island? I don't really want to spoil any of it for you. In fact, I'm not going to talk at all about the title of the game even. What is the Lacrimosa of Dana? I'm going to leave that totally up to you. If you've never played this game before, you really do deserve to experience it without spoilers. So I'm going to just leave that part out for you to find out on your own. As Adol awakens on the island and discovers other shipwrecked castaways, you slowly start to see the main forms of progression in this game. First, and most importantly, is to rescue the others who were cast adrift on the island. Second, providing food and shelter for everyone. Third, the exploration of the island to figure out what's going on, of course. There are times when the discovery of another shipwrecked castaway is built in and unmissable, but there are actually some who can be completely missed if you do not take Adol's adventurous nature on as your own. You need to explore all the different markers on the map and look for some of the out-of-the-way places that you might miss. Do the side quests, look for treasure, resources, and most importantly, the people. It is possible to do everything that this game has to offer on a single playthrough on the hardest difficulty, but honestly, that wasn't it for me. One of the best things about the Ys games are the multiple difficulty levels and the fact that you can kind of choose to embrace this series and these games, particularly Ys 8 and 9, at your own pace. You want to play it on easy and enjoy the story and just hack and slash on monsters, go for it. If you want a little bit more of a challenge, go for it. But you can do all the side quests, find all the people, do all the treasures, all the discoveries on one playthrough to get the best ending. And I recommend you do that. The not best endings do not hold up. They're not satisfying at all. In fact, they're very unsatisfying. One of my favorite activities in a JRPG surrounds town building mechanics, and Ys 8 gives you a small taste of that as you begin to build up Castaway Village. However, it's not done through investing in any currency. In fact, there's no equivalent to gold or money in this game. Instead, you're tasked with rescuing the various shipwrecked members of the Lombardia throughout the Isle of Seiren and helping them set up shop on the island. As Adol builds up a relationship with these people through completing quests for them, you help grow Castaway Village into a functioning little burg with everything Adol and the rest of the party and all the members of the village need to live the best life they can while stranded on this dangerous and mysterious island. Beyond the main quest, most of the things that you'll do in the game consist of searching for rare resource drops, fighting certain monsters, or simply helping out with a personal issue that one of the members of the village is having. One of the things that I really honestly liked about Ys 8 is that instead of paying for things with gold, which would make no sense on a deserted island, everything is based upon finding resources for the citizens of Castaway Village to use in order to assist Adal in protecting the town and exploring the island. They want to help Adal, and so they just need resources to do it. In order to upgrade your weapons, get new armor, new accessories, healing items, you need to find resources and use those resources to create those items. Not only do the members of Castaway Village serve as quest givers and vendors, but they really do become this tight-knit family with highs and lows like you would expect in a group of people who are kind of mashed together. I really do like Ys 8. In fact, I like it slightly more than Ys 9, but I think it's because I really enjoy the tropical island aesthetic a little bit more than a city like we had in Ys 9. But even though I think this game is a top tier JRPG, there's one area I have a love-hate relationship with, and that's the combat. Now, make it clear, the combat's great, but as someone who struggles with parrying in Souls-like games, it's really no surprise that the flash guard mechanic in Ys 8 was a real struggle for me. Initially, as you're running around the island, you're just hacking and slashing and knocking over enemies to the amazing soundtrack. For several hours, it's a fine strategy. Fight, dodge, heal. You might get a flash dodge in once in a while, which is going to allow you to get more hits in on an enemy as everything slows to bullet time. Then you're going to run to a crystal to heal, grind, fight, dodge, heal. But when you come across larger enemies, the need to use the flash guard to protect yourself and do more critical damage arises, and it comes on fairly quickly. Every enemy has different tells and timings, and I personally really struggled to find a good rhythm to some of the larger enemies on the screen. Ys combat has the 3 F's down pat. It's frenetic, it's fun, and it's flashy. But at some point, it does become crucial to put into practice guarding and dodging, because you need the critical hits to kill these enemies, because many of the larger enemies are just massive damage sponges. And so doing a critical hit over and over and over after you've done a flash guard by pressing the corresponding button whenever the enemy does its tell and tries to hit you is incredibly important. Otherwise, you're going to be dealing with a lot of status effects and being knocked over all the time, and that's not very fun. In Ys 8, there are 3 types of damage. There's a slashing style that Adal can do, along with piercing and smashing damage that other characters perform. This means that while you're running around the map and fighting off wild creatures on the island, it's important to be constantly switching between the characters to deal with your foes most effectively and swiftly. Some characters can also break the enemy's defenses down quicker, putting them into a stun state for even greater damage. This is important against large enemies and bosses who will send you through your stock of healing items quickly unless you are amazing at dodging. Beyond just exploring the island and fighting enemies in the overworld, Ys 8 has 2 tower defense style mini games that pop up through the progression of the story. One of the things I like about that is that it feels natural in the game and not just something added on. Castaway Village is often under attack from the creatures of the island, and it's up to everyone to defend it. Beyond grinding for resources to build up your defenses, you also get various buffs and help from the others of Castaway Village as you fight wave after wave of enemies. As I mentioned before, I don't want to spoil anything in this game, but the way the major plot unfolds kept me hooked in to see what would happen next. As Adal and his party search the island for survivors, they discover some mysterious artifacts and even more mysterious enemies. One of the first major discoveries is that the island is inhabited by primordials, an ancient creature reminiscent of the dinosaur. There are huge fire-breathing primordials, massive flying birds of prey, among other types of reptilian monsters that fill up the island and cause Adal and the members of Castaway Village a lot of stress, because early on they are very, very difficult to defeat. As Adal explores the mystery behind the island of Seirin, the title of the game, The Lacrimosa of Dana, becomes clearer and clearer. But again, I just don't want to spoil any of it for you. So one of the things I would like to point out is that if you are a fan of Western style action RPGs and are looking for a gateway into JRPGs, this one really is fantastic for that. One of the areas of the game that I've struggled with a little bit is the fact that Adal is a mostly silent protagonist. He has very few voiced lines and only responds to other characters to help their stories move forward. Adol is the catalyst to the development of other characters, which makes sense at this point given that there are multiple Ys games starring Adol in his many adventures over his life. On one hand, not seeing the character you play have deep progression can be disappointing, but seeing the party members who I absolutely loved and enjoyed grow as a team was a lot of fun. And others besides Adol, the members of Castaway Village, do grow as characters, and it is that great sense of progression that you really want from a JRPG. It's just not coming from the main character. And there's all these little vignettes of storytelling throughout the experience that help you grow closer to your party and the other survivors of Castaway Village as you kind of live life together. There's a lot of powerful moments that you would expect from a Nihon Falcom game. And this story, although very simple, is mysterious, heartbreaking, and heartwarming. As we wrap up, I want to first thank NIS America for a copy of the PlayStation 5 version of this game. I really enjoyed it despite this game's faults. For a game that came out in 2016, it's really, really gorgeous. The water and environmental designs, the mini games, everything about it is just so well crafted into this neat Swiss Family Robinson style experience that I think is worth experiencing if you're a fan of JRPGs. Ys 8 Lacrimosa of Dana is certainly a top tier JRPG, and I believe it is totally worth your time. It gets a thumbs up from me. YouTube thinks that you would be really interested in this video right over here. And if you're interested, you can watch every Legend of Heroes game I have reviewed so far in this playlist right over here. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again next time.